What you just heard was the first songs of experimental music that I have ever heard. What you just felt listening to that music is this shit is buns, or you're like me and you thought this was game-changing type of music. And this type of music honestly scares a lot of people away. And for a little bit it did, but honestly this type of music definitely scares the hoes away. And this genre, honestly, I love it. Do you know the vibes you're driving or you're the passenger and you get the aux and you decide to play some hoe scaring music and you get clown and you know that energy switches in an instant and now you're in a car accident because you decide to play JPEG Mafia or Death Grips. So now let's actually get into this type of music. What Species says hoey scaring music. It's not about the music being bad. It's usually in the category of experimental music. And usually this music is challenging for the mainstream to listen to. And honestly, most of this music is just weird to the mainstream. And honestly, I remember the first time listening to Yes, it was very weird and it was not typical music that I was accustomed to. It really had no hooks, no smooth beats. And what you get is distorted bass experimental beats and lyrics that are questionable. And this type of genre isn't just one thing, it comes in a bunch of different colors. So let's go through some right now. So first up, we got experimental hip hop. So this is where you will find people like MF Doom, JPEG Mafia, Earl Sweatshirt, Danny Brown, Death Grips. These artists take the word hip hop and really stretch it out to their own version of hip hop. And what I mean by that is you might get something that sounds like it was made on Windows Paint or an Atari game and with lyrics that really are questionable at times. And then there's other genres of hoe scaring music. And honestly, I don't really listen to these genres, but I feel like I just have to put it in the video. So the first one is industrial music like Arca or Daughters, and there's also Death Grips, and then there's also electronic. This is where you will get Apex Twins, Boards of Canada, Flying Lotus, and Machine Girl. And what are the reasons why I think this type of music is good? Honestly, I really couldn't tell you, but it's just something different that I've never heard, and sometimes I just want a refresh from all the typical music that I listen to. And really they're pushing boundaries, experimenting with their sound and taking risk. You might not like it, but you have to at least give it props for being different. And honestly, let's be real, it's kind of a flex to enjoy this music. It really tells people that you have different type of ear compared to most people, and is honestly like being at an exclusive club where the entry fee is just having a good era. I'm not saying this music should be played everywhere, because you know we're an exclusive club, for an example, blasting Earl Sweatshirt at most social gatherings. It's like with every music, there's a time and place for everything. For some examples, like walking home, like just playing some video games, host scaring music, gotcha. Yeah, so pretty much you can literally listen to it in most scenarios. And if that scenario is not around anybody. And now let's get into some albums that I recommend for this experimental hoe scaring music. The first one, Mad Villainy by Madvillain, a perfect blend of generational lyrics and some pretty good beats. And I would honestly put this in my top 25 albums of all time. And next one, we got Kids See Ghost. It is a psychedelic experimental hip hop with a little bit of soul. And with this blend, it is both chaotic and very religious vibe of music. And this album is definitely in my top 10. And then we got Money Store by Death Grips with industrial rap, which is chaotic, energetic, and also ear bleeding next week. Got some rap by Earl Sweatshirt. Honestly, I don't know what about this album, but it's just so different and so interesting that it should be in its own category. The next we got Atrocity Expedition by Danny Brown. It is psychedelic with a rap that's actually somewhat mainstream in some certain songs, and honestly just listening to Danny Brown, he definitely just scares some hoe away. Not even singing. Next I got I Lay Down My Life For You by JPEG Mafia. It is full of crazy beats, genre, mixing, and chaotic. But honestly, all of JPEG Mafia albums honestly also kind of sound the same and give off the same energy. And then we got Scaring the Hoe by Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia. And now, I couldn't believe this album out. It's literally where I got the idea for this video. But honestly, this album is not that different from their regular music. And a lot of these albums are very experimental and a little bit more easier to get in this type of music if you're interested. So now let's wrap this video up. Why do I enjoy this type of music? Honestly, I really could. Main thing is a lot of these albums are just different. It's something that you never heard before, and honestly, that is the main reason why I like most of these albums. I'm not trying to listen to the same thing over and over again. I'm just trying to experiment, and sometimes you got good ones like Danny Brown, and then you got bad ones like No One 'Cause Most. It's just experimental at the end of the day.